Are you struggling to create an intentional headspace, unable to connect deeper with yourself? Come, and together, let's address the elephant in the room. I'm your host, Sinead Roche, and this is the Uncomfortable Podcast. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Uncomfortable Podcast. I'm your host, Sinead Roche. We're coming back to you from season 1 to season 2. It's been quite some time in between, and a lot of things are changing. A lot of things have changed. Things I'm grateful for, things that are really bittersweet. But I mean, that's change, you know. Sometimes you don't like it. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but you go through it for a reason. I'm currently outside today, and I'm filming episode 0, which is basically where you get to meet me again. I did this in the first season. I really like this because I really want to establish trust and connection and vulnerability with you guys. And I feel like if I dive right into the topics or we get right into what season 2 is going to be about, then you're not really going to get the time to understand who I am. I think especially it's been such a long time since I've filmed, and a year has gone by, that maybe it's time that I reintroduce myself a bit. I reintroduce what this podcast is about, and we just see where it goes from there. The reason why I'm outside right now is because I just spent, I would say, 3 to 4 hours trying to film this episode indoors, and I was really getting nowhere with it. It was so hard because I'm trying to figure out, how am I supposed to reintroduce myself, who I am, what this podcast is about, and I have the episode notes. Don't worry about that, I'm having them on my phone right now as well. It's freezing. And I think I just needed a change in scenery. And this is something that I want to be doing with the podcast this season anyways, which is just having different scenes, doing things while I'm actually talking. And so why not just start it off right the bat like this? Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Sinead Roche. I'm 21 years old, and I think I'm qualified to do this podcast. I say this right now because as I was walking to this location, oh my God, it's cold. As I was walking to this location, I was listening to episode 0 of season 1, and I realized I said I'm 19 and I'm not qualified to do this podcast. But I'm is what it is. Maybe I'm even worse off right now, but I don't think so. And I think that, especially because I've taken so much time off, which is something that I recommend you do, which I've talked about in learning to take rests so that your body doesn't take them for you. I feel like I'm better off, and I feel like I'm more qualified to actually be speaking to you guys today, and just speaking about what I want to be talking about, which is this podcast, which is about learning how to change properly. How to change properly, I mean, that's not actually a thing, but learning how to be uncomfortable while you're changing and learning to be okay with that, and just grow accustomed in that sense. So a bit about me. I kind of gave you guys my entire family backstory in season 1. So I think what you need to know about me right now is my mentality and what's different. If you're new, I definitely recommend go back and watch season 1, episode 0. But for right now, what you need to know is that I'm in a new phase of my life. I'm in a new season. I've definitely had to learn things the hard way recently. And it's something I'm so grateful for, because I feel like in comparison to the past 3 years, this is the first time that I feel like I'm myself again. And that was truly because I'd taken the time to really go through the hard lessons, really sit in a season of loneliness, I would say, and really push through that. And I'm really, right now, I'm in a season of happiness because of all that. I'm also in a season and state of confusion, which I think most 20-year-olds and 30, 40, whatever, 50, actually doesn't matter what age you are, because I've talked to so many adults where I'm thinking, oh, you got your life figured out, but no. But I'm in my 20s right now, right? And I'm confused what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Right now I'm pursuing a master's, which, yay! And at the same time, I'm shouldn't I be traveling more right now? Shouldn't I be living my life or whatnot? Shouldn't I be taking more risks? Is now the time where I get financially stable completely? But basically, I'm gonna save confusion, and I think that's completely okay. Right now it's the start of the new year when I'm filming this, not when this is getting watched. And obviously you want to make those resolutions, your goals and whatnot. And I'm going to be doing that with you guys as well. Like, not the resolutions, but really just like figuring out what direction I'm supposed to be doing right now, where I'm supposed to be going right now, what type of season I'm in and whatnot, where I'm supposed to be working and focusing the most on. But yeah, that's basically how I feel. Confused, but happy. Yeah. Really grateful as well. That was a big thing for me, like this past season, is to learn to be really grateful and appreciative of the things that I do have and the opportunities that are put in front of me and the people who are around me, and just being grateful for myself as well. And so, yeah, I say that's what you need to know about me right now. You need to know also that, like, I'm so focused right now on being happy and so focused on being myself again and being really authentic. And that's something that this podcast is also about. And I've mentioned this in the prior season, that I feel like it's really hard for people to be authentically themselves. And that is completely okay, you know, but we need to force ourselves to be okay with ourselves and be okay to be seen, which is also another reason why I think it's so funny that I'm doing this outside right now, because I think even though I'm someone who's really outgoing and extroverted, I am still so innerly shy. Like, you know, sometimes I'm like, I am really afraid to be seen. I'm afraid to be embarrassed and like to really put myself out there occasionally. So this is a big step for me right now, even though it may not seem like it to many people, but yeah, I mean, just in terms of like being myself, like being outside, being myself, not just like outside, but like showing people who I am, and being okay with that. Yeah. So I feel like that's what you need to know about me. Yeah. But if you're new for this podcast, because let's reintroduce that, you know, same memo, same gist, you know, we're just learning how to get through like the growing pains of life together. We're learning how to be more reflective, more mindful, more ourselves. We're learning how to create and cultivate a safe headspace for ourselves so that we can be vulnerable within and then also be vulnerable with other people. I was also talking to someone the other day, and this is just coming to my mind right now, about like learning to trust yourself again. Like I've spoken on this, but I think that's another thing, like especially in your 20s, like when you're navigating what you're supposed to be doing and navigating, you know, what decisions you're supposed to be making, you don't necessarily always trust yourself, you know, and so you ask other people for all these helps and whatnot, which is okay to do, but I think that's just generally also something that we need to be focusing more on, and within this season, within, you know, our lifetime and whatever, is learning to trust ourselves more with the decisions that we make, and trust that we'll be able to figure stuff out, even if it doesn't go the way that we had initially planned it. And so, yeah, I'm here to discuss the elephant in the room with you guys, here to talk about like uncomfortable conversations, here to address what's really going on with me. That's something I really want to do more this season, because although I feel like I was authentic with you guys and open in the first season, I wasn't really explicit because I didn't know how much I wanted to share about myself, you know, and I feel like I want to bring more stories of myself and also more stories from other people, and more interviews this season as well, and just also showcase how other people are thinking. And I feel like sometimes if you are not around people who you can have these conversations with, which first of all, kudos to you if you have those people around you, and kudos to them also and yourself if you're able to actually be discussing these things on that deep level. But sometimes you don't have those people, and sometimes even if you do, it's really hard to open up. And so it's really important that initially you open up with yourself and you become really reflective within first, so that you at least understand, you know, where you are at. And that's something, especially as life is moving fast. Life is actually moving super fast. That if you don't take the time to reassess how you're doing, like I genuinely think you're not going to be moving with intention. You're not going to be very mindful, and it's going to show up in some of the actions or in certain places that you end up in, because you're just going with the flow, or you're chasing what everyone else is chasing, but it might not necessarily be meant for you. And so that's just also why this podcast is here. But yeah, I'm really excited, guys. I'm nervous 100%. I'm scared of what's to come. I'm scared of what's to come because for the first time in my life, like I was saying, I feel confused. And, you know, I think when you're 18, I don't know, but I saw this thing on like Instagram where like lots of people are like, yeah, when you're 18 and you know everything about life, then when you're in like your 20s and whatever, and you're like, shit, I don't know shit, you know, but I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to grow. I feel so much more positive too. And yeah, I'm excited to become uncomfortable again and to want to change and to improve and to cultivate a better headspace for myself and to reprogram how I think about myself and to continue with that. I think I've made a lot of strides over the past year, in the past 3 years, 100%. And I'm so proud of myself for that. And if you haven't made any strides, that's completely okay too. And if you have, also pat yourself on the back. And that's something I'm also trying to do, you know, continue with that and continue to give you guys like reflective questions to be asking yourself so that you can also engage. And I know it's really hard to do that. I know it's really difficult because you have to be really honest with yourself. But don't worry, we're going to be doing this together. It's a step-by-step process. I'm here to also show you guys my fuck ups, my mistakes, which I've made plenty. I mean, you've heard a lot of them in the past already. And even in this season, I'm making so many mistakes. And genuinely though, I love how I'm moving around them. I love how I'm moving with them. I love how I'm understanding myself more. And I love how I'm putting myself out there, you know? So I'm so excited. But to get more like maybe into the nitty gritty details, so let me like actually open up my notes because I usually have them, just about like what to expect more like from this new season. Obviously you are kind of understanding that it's going to be a bit different from last season, and yes, this might be a bit more like of a YouTube channel, which honestly I'm so happy to like launch as well, like in terms of like a vlogging one and whatnot. But you know, I've kind of shared a bit more about like how my perspective has changed in the past, how I'm also kind of growing more accustomed to change. And I want to talk about that for a second because in the past, you know, even though this is all about learning to become comfortable with change and be comfortable being in these uncomfortable situations and like times in your life, but that shit sucks. That shit is ass. I don't care what you say. That shit is actually terrifying. And like, especially not knowing when like that uncomfortable season is gonna end and when you can start like to like move comfortably with the change that just occurred. That shit is terrifying. And in the past I've always said like I'm someone who doesn't like change. Like now I'm growing accustomed to the benefits of the stretch marks that it has for us. I definitely will get into that, especially when I talk about what I've been through in the past year or what I've like accomplished, my pitfalls, the bittersweet moments and whatnot. But I'm definitely seeing the benefits because I feel like myself again. And I think that's something I haven't understood either about change, or like when you allow yourself to really undergo those uncomfortable moments and you process them correctly, or you just process them, because correctly, what the fuck is that? You know, that you start to feel like more yourself. I mean, that's a big part of like growing up and getting into your 20s is like really finding you as well. So excitement, you know, a lot of excitement is in the air. But that's kind of my perspective. I'm getting more accustomed to change. Although right now I'm kind of in that season of really just being happy. I know that in the next 2 months, especially, like there's going to be some things that are going to shift me mentally, and preparing myself for that, preparing to be continuously resilient. But yeah, we're going to get into all those topics and we're going to go in them with a more positive mindset than I've had in the past, which is completely ironic because why am I talking about like changing uncomfortably when I don't really like change? I don't know how I did that, but it's actually so funny to listen to my episodes in the past and like reflect on who I was, or like when I was saying these things, because now I'm like crazy. Anyways, but let's talk about what this next season is going to be about and what to expect. So a bit about me. I haven't talked about this that much in my other season because I'm still growing with Christ and growing my relationship with God. And I didn't know how much I wanted to include about that relationship growing within my podcast, just because I was like scared of like how other people I was scared of how other people react. But something you should be expecting from me is to hear maybe a bit more about my journey with God. I'm not here to say that I'm going to become like a Christian podcaster necessarily, like that I'm focused solely on like, spreading the... Not that I'm not, but like, that's not what the focus here is on this podcast. But I do want to be really clear that I am growing my relationship with God, and I want to talk about it because even though I include like psychological aspects and like, I do research within psychological fields and explain that here so that it's not just my like opinion that you're listening to 24/7, which is also great. I'm joking, but I just wanted to explain that as well because I feel like I can't be fully open and honest if I'm not also explaining how God has impacted my life and like how that also shapes how I think and feel about certain things. I also, moving forward, want to include different perspectives on my podcast. Like, as much as it's great to just be hearing me talk, like, I also want to hear from other persons, and I've done a bunch of interviews in the past year, and also mini interviews, which you're going to be seeing clips of shortly soon. So just also having more experiences from other people, because I think that way we're also able to like dig into other people's lives, and not dig into them like that, but like just understand what their perspective is. And I just have more voices on the podcast, and so it's kind of like not just me who's going through these things or like having these like revelations or realizations. Like, you can also see that in other people with different backgrounds and whatnot, and I think that's just like, I think that's cool. Also, we're gonna have a lot more experimentation. Like, this episode is me experimenting. The cold is kind of actually forcing me to like get this all out, and I feel like be more direct about what I want to say, which I'm really happy about. But there's gonna be a lot more experimentation. Like, I want to be doing podcast episodes where I'm like doing other shit. I don't know, like just seeing maybe how multitasking will impact like my message or whatnot. And I just want to experiment more. I want to make this fun, and not just fun for like viewers, but fun for myself, because I feel like a reason why I also kind of like pulled back from the podcast was like, it wasn't fun anymore. It felt like an obligation. And this isn't just like my brand, but this is who I stand for. And as someone who's also wanting to incorporate more fun into their life, I also want the things that I elect to do to also have more fun in that sense. So yeah, a lot more experimentation, a lot more things to look forward to. And as a lot of things are changing and evolving, I also wanted to change how I categorize the episodes. So we're going to be changing the categories to changing behaviors. We're going to have a category on changing attitudes and perspective. And we're going to have persons of interest, which is when I was talking about like having those mini interviews, but you'll see those shortly in the new episodes to come. And lastly, and this is the one I'm kind of most excited for, is episodes with your BFF. I think sometimes like we don't have our person, whether that be romantically, whether that be platonically. And sometimes it's really nice just like to, just chat or have someone who's like expressing things about their life and whatnot, and maybe being a bit more vulnerable. And these episodes, like, I'm really excited about, because I do, again, like I said in the beginning, want to establish a greater connection with you guys and be more vulnerable. And I think talking to you guys like you're my best friend will help in that sense. And I feel like, again, have more fun with it, and be more authentically myself, in hopes that also inspires you guys to be more authentically with yourselves, and maybe even with others as well. So yeah, that's what we got. That's what we got for this season. I'm really excited. I'm also excited and hopeful that you guys will engage more with me. God, that sounds like I'm begging. Like, like when you're like, someone's like begging for their ex or some shit like this. No, I'm joking. No, but what's it called? I am excited and hopeful that you guys will engage with me more, whether that be on polls, Instagram. 100% need to be more active on all those things. TikTok. Guys, being a content creator though is actually difficult, because even last year I was struggling, but God willingly I will get through this. But yeah, let's see what's going to be happening soon. Positive spirits, and yeah, let's address the elephant in the room, guys. Bye. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Uncomfortable Podcast. Make sure to tune in every Monday for a new episode on Spotify and YouTube. And go ahead and check our Instagram and TikTok for more content. Bye!